My name is Grace. I am 19 years old. I live in a small house with my mom, Anne, and my dad, David. Our house is nice and comfortable. It has a small garden in the back where Mom grows flowers. Dad likes to fix things around the house. They are good parents. They are kind and they love me very much. I love them too, of course, but sometimes, deep inside, I feel a little different. It's hard to explain. It's like looking at a picture where one color is slightly not the same as the others. For example, my mom and dad both have light brown hair, almost blonde. My hair is very dark, almost black. Their eyes are blue, like the summer sky. My eyes are dark brown. When people meet us, they sometimes look surprised for a second. They don't say anything, but I see it. I also like different things. Mom and Dad love big family parties with lots of noise and talking. I prefer quiet afternoons with a good book. They enjoy watching sports on television, cheering loudly. I like walking in the park or listening to calm music in my room. It's not bad, just different. I remember looking at old family photo albums sometimes. There were pictures of Mom and Dad when they were young, pictures from their wedding day. Then there were pictures of me as a baby, a very small baby with lots of dark hair. Mom and Dad looked so happy in those pictures, holding me. But when I looked closely, I didn't really look like either of them as babies. I told myself it didn't matter. Lots of children don't look exactly like their parents. Still, the feeling stayed, a small, quiet question mark in the back of my mind. 1. Saturday the weather was gray and rainy. Drops hit the window, tap, tap, tap. It was a perfect day to stay inside. I was reading in the living room when Mom came in. She smiled. "Grace, honey, can you help me with something?" she asked. "I want to organize some old photos, but I can't find the big albums. I think they might be in the attic. Can you look for them, please?" "Sure, Mom," I said. I liked helping, and honestly, I was a little curious about the attic. We didn't go up there very often. It was like a secret place at the top of the house. I climbed the narrow stairs. The air felt cool and smelled old, like dust and paper. I pulled a string, and a weak light bulb turned on. The attic was not very big. It was filled with things we didn't use anymore. Old chairs covered in white sheets, bags full of winter clothes, boxes stacked high. Cobwebs hung in the corners, like thin gray decorations. It was quiet up here, except for the sound of the rain on the roof. Photo albums, I whispered to myself, looking around. I saw some large, flat boxes near an old suitcase. Maybe those were the albums. I walked carefully between the piles of forgotten things. As I reached for the boxes, my foot bumped something hard hidden behind some lumpy bags. It wasn't a big box, just a small one. It looked different from the other boxes, older. It was made of dark wood, with a simple metal latch on the front. It wasn't with the photo albums at all. It felt separate, hidden. My curiosity grew stronger. This wasn't what Mom asked for, but my hand reached out anyway. The metal latch was cool to touch. It opened easily with a small click sound. My heart started to feel a little faster. What was inside? Inside, there were papers. Not photos, just folded papers, yellowed with age. They looked official, important. I carefully picked up the top paper and unfolded it. My eyes scanned the words. I saw my name written clearly, Grace. Then I saw my birth date. Below that, there were other names I did not know. And then I saw a word. A word I knew, but I never thought it was connected to me. The word was adoption. Adoption? I read it again. And again. The letters seemed to jump on the page. ADOPTION. My breath stopped for a second. My hands started to shake a little. I looked at the other papers. There were more official documents, forms with signatures, dates, all about me, all using that same word. My heart was beating fast now, thump, thump, thump against my ribs. It felt loud in the quiet attic. Adopted? Me? It couldn't be true, but the papers looked real. The names, the dates, my name. What did this mean? Why was this box hidden here? Did Mom and Dad know about this box? A cold feeling spread through me. Suddenly, the feeling of being different made a terrible kind of sense. I stood there holding the papers, the dusty air thick around me. My family had a secret, a very big secret, and I had just found it. I stood frozen in the dusty attic air for I don't know how long. The old papers felt heavy in my trembling hands. Adopted. The word echoed in my head, making everything else seem distant and muffled, like listening to sounds underwater. A cold feeling washed over me, even though the attic wasn't particularly chilly. Adopted? Me? It felt impossible, like reading about someone else's life. But the papers had my name, my birth date. It felt strange, deeply strange. Was this the reason? Was this why I sometimes felt like that slightly different color in the family picture? The dark hair, the brown eyes, the love for quiet things. Did they come from somewhere else? From someone else? My mind raced with questions, but my first, clear thought was practical. I couldn't leave the box open like this. I couldn't let Mom or Dad know I had found it. Not yet. I needed time to think. Carefully, trying to make my shaking hands steady, I folded the papers exactly as they were. I placed them back inside the dark wooden box. I closed the lid and fastened the little metal latch with a soft click. Then, I pushed the box back behind, the lumpy bags making sure it looked untouched, hidden just as I had found it. My heart was still pounding, a nervous drumbeat against my ribs. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. I still needed to find the photo albums for Mom. I located the flat boxes I had seen earlier, pulled out 2 large albums with faded covers, and carefully made my way back down the narrow attic stairs, leaving the secret hidden in the shadows, above. When I entered the living room, Mom looked up from her magazine. "Oh, there you are, honey. Did you find them?" she asked, her voice normal and cheerful. "Yes, Mom," I managed to say. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, a little thin. I handed her the heavy albums. "Thank you, sweetie," she said, smiling. Warmly. Dad walked in from the kitchen holding 2 cups of tea. He smiled at me, too. It was the same loving smile he always gave me. Suddenly, looking at their familiar, kind faces felt different. Did they know? Did they know I had just been in the attic, holding the secret of my life in my hands? Or was the secret so old, so hidden, that they rarely thought about it anymore? A wave of confusion washed over me. Why hadn't they ever told me? Were they planning to? Or did they hope I would never find out? I felt a pang of sadness mixed with my confusion. It felt like a wall had suddenly appeared between us, a wall made of secrets I couldn't see past. That week passed in a blur of quiet worry. On the outside, I tried to act normal. I went to my part-time job at the local library. I helped Mom with dinner. I watched a movie with Dad. But inside, everything felt different. Every conversation, every shared moment, was now seen through this new lens. When Dad told a funny story at dinner about teaching me to ride my bike, a story I had heard many times, I found myself wondering, was that really me he was teaching? Or was it just a story they told? Who was the baby in the pictures they showed? Me? It was me, but it also felt like a different me, a me with an unknown beginning. The tension grew inside me like a tight knot. I became quieter than usual. At dinner one evening, I pushed my food around my plate, lost in thought. Mom noticed. "Grace, are you okay?" she asked, her brow furrowed slightly with concern. "You seem very quiet tonight." I looked up, startled. "Oh, yes, I'm fine, Mom," I lied, trying to smile. "Just a little tired, I guess." But I wasn't just tired. Inside, my mind was buzzing. Should I ask them? Should I tell them I found the box? The thought terrified me. What would they say? Would they be angry that I looked in the box? Would they be sad that their secret was out? Would telling them change everything? Maybe they would stop loving me the same way. The fear of losing their love, the only love I had ever known, made my stomach clench. I was scared. Scared of the truth. Scared of their reaction. Scared of what it all meant for my future, for my past, for me. But carrying this secret alone felt heavy. The questions kept circling in my head, demanding answers. The quiet worry was always there, a constant shadow. By the end of the week, I knew I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't live with this heavy feeling inside me, this wall between me and my parents. It wasn't fair to them, and it wasn't fair to me. I had to ask. I needed to know the truth. Their truth. No matter how scary it was, I had to talk to them. The worry was becoming too much to bear alone. Making the decision to talk to them was one thing. Actually doing it was another. All the next day, my stomach felt tight with nerves. I kept practicing words in my head, trying to find the right way to start. How do you ask your parents about the biggest secret of your life? Every time I thought about it, my palms got sweaty. I helped Mom in the garden, pulling out weeds, but my mind was far away, back in the dusty attic with that small wooden box. That evening, dinner felt longer than usual. The sound of forks scraping plates seemed extra loud. Dad talked about his day at work. Mom asked about the library, and I answered in short sentences, forcing myself to eat even though I didn't feel hungry. The secret felt like a heavy stone sitting in my chest. I knew I had to lift it soon. After dinner, we moved to the living room. Dad turned on the television to watch the news, and Mom picked up her knitting. Usually, this was a calm, comfortable time. Tonight, the air felt thick, with unspoken things. My heart was beating very fast, thump, 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 like it wanted to escape my chest. This was it. I had to do it now. I took a deep, shaky breath. My voice came out quieter than I expected. "Mom? Dad?" Dad looked away from the television, and Mom lowered her knitting. They both looked at me, waiting. Seeing their faces, so normal and loving, made it even harder. I need to ask you something important," I continued, my voice trembling slightly now. Dad muted the television sound. Mom put her knitting down completely. Their full attention was on me. The room felt very still. "Okay, sweetie." Mom said gently. What is it? Here it goes. That day, last Saturday, when I went to the attic to get the photo albums, I paused, swallowing hard. I found something else, a small wooden box, behind some bags. I watched their faces closely. A flicker of something passed between them. Recognition? Fear? Mom's eyes widened just a little. Dad's expression became serious. They didn't say anything, just waited for me to go on. I opened it, I admitted, feeling a flush of heat rise in my cheeks. I know I shouldn't have, maybe, but I was curious. Inside, there were papers, official papers. I took another breath. Papers about adoption, about me being adopted. Silence. A heavy silence filled the room. Mom and Dad just looked at each other. It wasn't an angry look, but it was deep, full of things I couldn't read. Then Mom slowly turned her gaze back to me. Her blue eyes looked sad, filled with a kind of pain that made my own heart ache. Dad reached over and gently put his hand on mine where it rested on the sofa cushion. His touch was warm and steady, but his face was serious, etched with worry. Yes, Grace, Mom said finally, her voice soft and thick with emotion. It's true. Dad squeezed my hand gently. We adopted you when you were a very, very small baby, Grace, he added, his voice low and kind. Hearing them confirm it, hearing the words spoken out loud between us for the first time, was hard. Tears pricked at the back of my eyes. All the confusion and hurt from the past week swirled inside me. Why? I whispered, the question hanging in the air. Why didn't you ever tell me? Mom's eyes filled with tears now. Oh, honey, she said, her voice breaking a little. We always planned to tell you. We never found the right time. First, you were too young. Then we worried it would upset you, confuse you. We love you so much, Grace, Dad said earnestly, leaning forward. More than anything in the world. You are our daughter, in every single way that matters. We were just scared. Scared to tell you. Scared it might change things. Scared you might feel hurt or angry or think we loved you less. Listening to them, seeing their faces, seeing their fear for me, something inside me shifted. The anger I thought I might feel wasn't really there. Mostly I felt sad. Sad for the secret they carried, sad for the fear they felt, sad for the years I didn't know. But underneath the sadness, I saw their love. It was real, and it was strong. They weren't hiding the truth because they didn't love me. They hid it because they loved me so much and were afraid of losing that connection. Mom reached out her other hand, tears rolling down her cheeks now. You are the best thing that ever happened to us, Grace, she whispered. Seeing her cry made my own tears spill over. I felt my eyes get wet, blurring their faces for a moment. I didn't have all the answers, yet. I still felt confused and a bit lost. But in that moment, sitting there with the truth finally out in the open, seeing their love and their fear so clearly, I felt a strange sense of relief too. Maybe this didn't have to change everything. Maybe we could figure this out, together. The wall between us had cracked open. It hurt, but it also let some light in. That night, we stayed up talking for a very long time. The television stayed off. Mom made us all some warm milk, like she used to when I was little and couldn't sleep. We sat together on the sofa, the heavy silence replaced by quiet words, questions, and answers. The tears dried up after a while, leaving us feeling tired but somehow lighter. The big secret was finally out in the open air between us. I asked so many questions. When did you adopt me? Was I a baby? Do you know anything about my birth? Parents. Mom and Dad answered everything they could, honestly and patiently. They told me how much they had wanted a child, how happy they were when they adopted me as a tiny baby, just a few weeks old. They admitted they didn't know very much about my birth family. The adoption was closed, which was common back then. They had the papers I found, and a few small details, but not a complete story. They didn't hide anything they knew, and they weren't angry that I had found the box or asked the questions. They seemed relieved in a way that we could finally talk about it. The next few weeks felt strange. Like walking into a room you know very well, but someone has moved all the furniture slightly. Everything looked familiar, but felt different. I was learning about my own life story, seeing my family and myself in a new way. Sometimes I felt a little sad, wondering about the life I might have had, or the mother who gave me up. Other times, I felt a little confused, trying to fit this new piece of information into the picture of who I was. But even though my understanding of my past changed, my present life stayed wonderfully the same in many important ways. Mom still made my favorite, pancakes on Sunday mornings. Dad still helped me figure out confusing instructions for assembling things. They still asked about my day, listened to my worries, and told me they loved me. Their love hadn't changed. They hadn't changed. They were still my parents, the only parents I had ever known. The ones who raised me, took care of me, and loved me every single day. Slowly, I started to understand something important. Finding out I was adopted didn't take anything away from my family. It just added another layer to my story. Family, I realized, wasn't just about having the same hair color or the same eyes. It wasn't just about biology or blood. It was about love. It was about showing up for each other day after day. It was about care and support and shared memories and building a life together. Being adopted was part of who I was, but it didn't change the deep love that held our family together. Maybe, one day, far in the future, I might feel curious enough to try and find out more about my birth family. The thought doesn't scare me as much now. But right now, my focus is here. My family is Anne and David, my mom and dad. This house is my home. Finding that box in the attic was a shock, and the secret had felt heavy. But talking about it, being honest, didn't break us. It actually brought us closer. It taught me that secrets can create walls, but honesty and open hearts can make family bonds even stronger. Love, I learned, is the real glue that makes a family. That next weekend, Mom brought down the real photo albums, the ones I was supposed to get from the attic that rainy Saturday. We sat together on the living room floor, turning the thick pages. There were pictures of me as a chubby baby with messy dark hair held tight in Mom's arms. Pictures of Dad pushing me on a swing, both of us laughing. Pictures from birthdays, holidays, normal days. Looking at them now, I didn't feel like the different color anymore. I just saw love. Mom and Dad smiled as we looked through the memories. And this time, I smiled right back at them. A real, warm smile from deep inside. I knew, without any doubt, that I was exactly where I belonged. This was my family. This was my story. And it was a good one.